From WDWNT, a worldwide leader in Disney Parks news, this is ParksCenter. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of ParksCenter. My name's Ben, and this is the weekly news show where we go over the top 7 stories from the past week. So, joining me on tonight's episode of ParksCenter, we've got Whitney.
Hello.
Rich.
Hello.
Jill.
Hello.
And Allison.
Hello, everyone.
All right, let's go ahead and kick things off with our first topic of the night, Pandora. So it more appropriately named Pandora for for 3 days this week, being closed. Both of the major attractions, I should say, being closed towards the beginning of the week, with Flight of Passage opening up after a couple days, and River Journey still remaining closed for another one after that. What happened here? This was a bit of a mess. They posted notifications in the app about the closing. They gave people free fast passes. Like what's going on here? Is this something we need to worry about happening? Like again?
Maybe. Since we don't know what the problem is, it's hard to say whether it's ever been solved. I wonder if they being the engineers, operations, whoever, I wonder if they really know what the problem is. It's fun to speculate, though.
3 days is catastrophic, though. Even if this never happens again, that's just vacation ruining for so many families, because that's often the length of an entire trip. Or maybe they spent one day at the Magic Kingdom and then plan to do Animal Kingdom one of the other days, and then just couldn't get on the rides that they were hoping and planning for maybe a year or two or more to get on.
Well, in fairness, they probably would have been waiting in line for them 3 to 4 hours anyway. So, no, I'm just kidding. It was, again, I totally agree. It was catastrophic that there was so much downtime on these huge new premier attractions. And it seemed like people, from comments we saw on Facebook, that even getting those fast passes for another day were problematic. People were waiting in line at guest relations for an hour or more. And then sometimes there were problems if they were given like a general fast pass and then they had another fast pass for a different attraction. They'd go to that different attraction and it would suck the general fast pass out of their system. And then they try to go on River Journey and they couldn't because their sort of blanket fast pass was gone. So there were definitely some technical issues even in the follow through of trying to make it up to guests.
Yeah, that's just some simple coding right there. Use the most restrictive thing first. Don't use the wild cards first. Goodness. But what do we think caused this? Like, I've heard some rumors going around. Is there anything substantiated? Like I heard like I think fire is a rumor.
I think we've heard a lot of possibilities. I think it's telling that we don't know what happened, but the entire building that holds both rides went down first. So something that's building wide, which might mean HVAC, might mean safety systems, might mean fire systems, might mean the computer system. Who knows what that could be? But apparently it's something that can be patched back together halfway, so half the building can come back up. So they got Flight of Passage up first and then River Journey. But the possibilities are almost endless as to what could have caused a building-wide failure.
Yeah.
Weren't there stories that there had been like evacs on the rides because the fire alarm went off? I think that was happening prior to the actual shutdown.
I would, my engineering comes out, I would classify that as anecdotal evidence at best.
Fair enough. Not confirmed.
Yeah.
Right.
Rumor. There we go. Yeah. Moving on from there, Dan Cockerell this week left as vice president of the Magic Kingdom rather suddenly, honestly. Came as a bit of a surprise, and he's a bit of a young guy, so retiring this early?
I found
something seems weird.
So no one ever said the word retired. Okay, that's a lie.
Fair.
The Diz said retired, but he posted a letter. I saw it on his very own LinkedIn page that he gave to his employees, and it did not say anything about I'm retiring. It said I'm leaving the Disney company. So all this talk of he retired is completely made up. There is no evidence that he retired.
Seeking other opportunities.
Yeah.
It's
as
so
they say.
sudden. It felt like it just came out of the blue.
So I find it interesting too, in looking back at his history at Disney, he never stayed in any role in Disney for more than 3 or 4 years. Like he hopped all over the place. And there was this quote unquote shakeup in 2015 where the VP of studios, which was him at the time, and the VP of the Magic Kingdom switched roles. So he went to Magic Kingdom, and the guy who was in Magic Kingdom went to studios, which is an odd switch. So there's definitely some kind of things that, at least if you want to raise an eyebrow at this story, things that could make you that could encourage that theory based on some of his track record.
Yeah.
There is
Maybe.
some data though that a lot of MBA programs kind of like to share with people who are in them, that if you stay in any role for longer than 2 to 3 years, you minimize your earning potential. So he might have been sort of trying to jump on things every 3 years. That's not that abnormal in business. It is for some other industries, but not so much for that.
It just seemed interesting that a lot of his moves were lateral-ish in terms of being VP of this, then VP of that. And so he moved around, but it never seemed like there were a lot of jumps in position.
I'd be curious to see if they were matched with salary changes. But what I thought was really interesting was like that his letter, although it didn't say retirement, he talked a lot about spending time with his family and that he and his wife were going to be empty nesters. But it wasn't for like another year and a half until his his youngest is out of the house. So I can see why people made the jump to retirement, but he definitely didn't say that. But he did couch it in this like, we're going to spend time with family and maybe relocate.
I don't know. There's nothing in the letter he wrote that says to me, I'm not in trouble for something and leaving.
I
before I
agree.
get fired.
And he
There's
set up a
nothing
whole
in his
new,
letter that dissuades from that idea.
and he set up a whole new consulting website too.
Yes,
Yeah.
like
So and everything. And he
within
did
the
that
last month or
well,
so.
yeah, well before he actually retired or left or whatever.
Yeah, that's fair. So moving on from there, from corporate snakes to actual snakes, or virtual snakes, I should say. Disney announced a while back, and we put a story out about this, of a virtual reality jacket that when you put this on, it gives you virtual sensations to go along with what you're seeing, including things like being hugged, maybe getting punched, and interestingly enough, having a snake crawl all over you. Um, what is this going to be used for? Like, what is the point of this thing? Why did Disney come up with this, or is this just another instance of Disney inventing things because they can?
I'm gonna seize on the idea that the name of this thing, what they're calling it, is the Force Jacket. I feel like every patent or new thing that I've seen Disney come out with, or at least the vast majority of them, all scream Star Wars land to me. This mixed with a lot of other things we've seen about these virtual and augmented reality experiences, things where you're going to feel like you can use force power and lift a virtual enemy across the room. Like, what's to say this isn't okay? You're in that room and the enemy shoots at you and you feel blaster fire on your chest. I think, or even, you fell into a garbage disposal and there's a snake crawling around your ankles.
Oh man.
Pulling things from the Star Wars universe. But I don't know. I'm betting Galaxy's Edge, because any new cool looking thing that Disney's coming out with that has anything to do with augmented or virtual reality, to me, is Star Wars.
I was thinking the same thing, but also the hotel. Can't imagine this would be
Yes.
cost effective, but like that they're going to have robes and stuff that everyone can wear, like costumes. And if this is underneath that, you could be
Oh
walking
my
around the
gosh.
hotel and feel sensations based on things, which it sounds like Westworld and way too expensive, but maybe.
Gosh,
Yeah, but
could
why
you imagine just like
snakes?
walking around and then feeling like you just got shot?
Oh
Like
my.
just out of nowhere, just someone in a bar just kind of randomly shoots at you, and then you feel this kick in your chest.
Then
Oh
we'd
my
have to
gosh.
figure out who shot first. But
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Nothing in the
even
description of the jacket sounds positive except for being hugged. Everything else seems like it would be painful or uncomfortable. Like this.
Yeah,
Well,
it
yeah, I mean,
definitely
you can usually do a lot of nice physical things in real life and not have a problem with it. Like, you can't exactly punch someone for the sake of theater and have them be okay with it most of the time. So you kind of have to get away with virtual punching.
But on the other hand, this is a theme park, and I mean, in real life, you don't want to be subjected to 2Gs very often, but in the theme park, that's what you expect. So maybe, maybe it'll be
Fair.
okay.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap that up and move into a bit of a hot story from today. We actually got a first look into a lot of the bits and pieces of Storyland. So first off in this, we got to see the first bit of on-ride footage for the Slinky Dog Dash Coaster, which I think honestly looks pretty cool here. Let's get through this a little bit further, closer to where the launch is, because this video decides to do things out of order. That seems like a really cool, like, just smooth launch here. I'm looking forward to this. What do other people think about this?
It gives me a barnstormer feel.
yes, which is a shame because I think that is just an absolute garbage ride.
Yeah. There's just not much to it. It's going to be very kid friendly, which I guess is the reason for Toy Story Land.
I thought there was supposed to be this idea that the cars somehow, like each car section of the train, kind of had independent motion and would
Yeah.
Yeah, like a Slinky
vibrate.
Dog.
Yes, and I don't think we saw. I tried to look closely in the video. Unfortunately, a lot of the footage is shot from kind of you're sitting in the front seat and it's moving forward, like a typical ride POV video. But the few shots we have of the whole train from afar, I don't see any of that kind of motion. The most I see is the little Slinky Dog tail is waving.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
assume they scrapped all those ideas when they
Mhm.
started cutting everything to cannibalize the money for Star Wars Land.
fair.
Yeah, this feels like a ride that got short shrift.
Yeah, I'm just
So,
not
so
very
it's in feed
excited
with the rest
about.
of the land. Oops, sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say I'm not very excited about any of this. It seems like we lost a lot of cool elements when they cut it all.
Yeah, but we still got that baby bell cheese though, so.
And that's what matters.
And s'more sandwiches, which I do kind of want to try.
And the floats. I'm excited about the floats in Woody's boot.
Oh, those are cute.
Mm-hmm.
There's a shake in my boot. I'm sure somebody somewhere is going to be saying this in the park every
Well,
day, and some
they would
poor
have
cast member
to.
is going to be sick of hearing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess the other bit of this that we can kind of touch on briefly here is that we also got a first look at what the Wheezy animatronic is going to look like. There is indeed going to be a singing animatronic Wheezy in here. That one didn't get gutted by the budget. So honestly, I think that looks pretty good. Like it looks,
I had a
I think, better
very
than Potato Head.
I had a very strong deja vu feeling of Kitchen Cabaret when I saw this. When I saw the live footage. I'm not sure why. Just when he started moving and singing, I felt Kitchen Cabaret.
I'm going to take that as a high compliment from you.
I don't know if I meant it that way, but that's just like the immediate free association that my brain made watching the video.
I could see it. It's not wrong, but I'm happy with it because I think Wheezy's a really lovable character, and I actually didn't realize he didn't appear until the second film because I have such a
Yeah.
strong memory of him.
That was his solo film, too. He wasn't in the
I
third
mean,
one
if you look
either.
really closely, he's up on the shelf in one. You can see it. No,
Yeah.
he's been there the whole time. We just
Yeah.
didn't know.
Little cameos.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, and then moving into a bit of a feature for the night. To as part of our celebration of Disney Hollywood Studios, we're going to have a little bit of a discussion on the past, the present, and the future of the park. So starting off in the past, what do you folks miss most about this park? Like there are a lot of things we've lost, a lot of things have changed over the years. What do you wish we could have back?
Great movie ride.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
about to
the
say, that's
low-hanging
giving
fruit, isn't
everybody
it?
an answer.
It was the obvious thing, but there's a reason that it was like it is the park defining attraction.
It's
And
why the
what?
park
It
It
exists.
was,
was.
yeah, it was the reason. So it doesn't make any sense that they got rid of the original anchor of the park.
But I'd also take the original backlot tour and the Streets of
Mm.
America and all that stuff and the Osborne Spectacle of Lights and
Oh, yes, the
that.
light. And I just found out tonight that I ate at the Soundstage restaurant back in our first trip, and I don't remember anything about it. So that would be nice to come back to, so I can, look at it.
Yeah, I definitely miss the back lot. I miss the Eiffel Tower.
Oh
I
yeah.
miss the
Yeah.
was it Art of Disney Animation?
Yes.
I love that.
Does anyone miss the hat?
No,
really.
no.
We need people like 15 years younger than us, at least.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Now you said that, and I thought millennials, and then I thought, oh my God, what if they made it rose gold
Or pink.
or millennial pink?
I was going to say one of the things I miss is the theme or conceit of the land of being a working theater
Yes.
that was kind of prefaced by a set that reminded you of old Hollywood, and now it seems to be transitioning that no, we're not making movies, you're in the movies, including part of a movie that was in the 1940s in Hollywood's golden age.
Thank you for saying that, Rich, because I kind of had something like that floating around in my head, and I wasn't quite sure how to express it, and you just said it perfectly. I missed
you're
that
welcome.
it was about being a studio, and now it's about the movies themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
mean,
I
they're
also
both-
miss like the. Go ahead.
I was going to say they're both reasonable themes, but for nostalgia, I kind of prefer
Mhm.
the first one.
Yeah, I miss that, but I also miss the significant classic television elements that were throughout the park as well, that have been minimized more and more throughout the years.
There's a soap star banner on ABC Commissary that doesn't do it.
Something that I miss, and maybe not everybody else does, but Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Like, that was honestly a really good attraction.
That was
I
fun.
think it was a lot of fun, like just to watch that, or if you were on the tour that went through the catwalks, like every now and then, if they would
Mhm.
phone for help, it would call up there and you could help out. I think it was a really neat thing.
And it was a nice
Potentially,
break from the heat.
That kind of
too.
interactive show is something this park I think is really still missing.
potentially unpopular opinion, I would take Millionaire or American Idol experience any day over Frozen Sing Along. Any
Agree.
day. And a part of it is, well, part of it is Frozen, but part of it, a lot of it is that interactive element that you felt like you were involved and could get on the show and
Yeah.
could win, and that was exciting.
Besides Indiana Jones, is there anything left in the park that guests can join? I don't think there is.
The Padawan Training Academy.
Right, the Jedi training. But as far as shows go, I think Indiana Jones is the last one left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's right. Which is really a shame for the park's theme, like that at
The
least what it
studio.
used to be
Yeah.
of a studio, and you would be in the movies. You're not in anything. You're just watching more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to the president of the park. So a lot of people complain about this park as it is right now, saying that it's a half-day park, and like it kind of spiritually swapped places with Animal Kingdom. Like, what is it really a half-day park? Are people exaggerating, or is this really that bad?
Well, Tom and Josh spent the whole day there a couple days ago.
Proof. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Depends on what you
let's see if Disney nerds can stay in a Disney park all day.
I haven't spent a whole day there in years, but for me, as long as they have Sunset Boulevard, as long as Tower is still there, I will still go to that park and spend time there every time I visit.
Yeah.
Also, Phantasmic, I feel like, has gotten short shrift in the whole Hollywood Studios as a half-day park conversation. I kind of feel I know Epcot, everything, but I feel like Illuminations is kind of really played out for me. And so my next kind of most popular. My next favorite choice for nighttime spectacular is Phantasmic.
I agree with that, but you can do the half day in the second half of the day. It doesn't have to be a morning to noon thing.
Like if you've
Right.
got fast passes for the majority of the stuff in Pandora, like you can do, if you're not that into animals, like I know a lot of people are, you can do Animal Kingdom in the morning and then studios at night and get both right now.
Yeah, I don't think I spend a full day in any park generally. As long as I'm there for more than a couple days, I park hop, and I prefer spending half a day in one park and half a day in the other. So
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
don't find calling things. I mean, I understand what the implication is by calling it a half day park, but I don't find that specific terminology particularly derogatory.
I think it partly depends on what you want to get out of a park too. If
Right.
you are going to a park to ride a ride and that's the limit of what you want to do at an attraction, then yeah, it's you can do that in a few hours. But if you want to see the shows, have some popcorn, go visit the Muppets, then it's not a half day park. It's a 3/4 day park,
No, yeah.
maybe.
I mean, between all the shows alone, that's a huge chunk of time until you schedule them. You have to get in there early to get a seat. You can spend more than a half day just doing the shows, much less any of the attractions.
Right.
Yeah.
Throw in Brown Derby and it's almost a day.
Mhm.
And I still enjoy going there for sure, but the if you're gonna go for just one day and pick one park, the single day ticket is still like $122 to go into studios,
Mhm.
and so that's absurd. But if you have an annual pass and you can park hop and you're there for several days, you may go multiple times during your trip, so you can do your favorite things there. But for a guest that's just coming in for a day, then the term half day is derogatory for sure.
Yeah, I just find that a difficult scenario to relate to.
I almost was doing that because I don't have an annual pass right now, but I'm gonna buy it. But when I go to the Hollywood Students Appreciation Day on Saturday, I was going to just buy a single ticket, and I realized how much it was, and then I added up all the days I'd be in the park for the rest of the year. It just makes sense to get, but it was that $122 for the 10 hours I'd be in the park that dissuaded me.
Yeah, that's true. We've been APs for a while, and our
Mhm.
park approach has definitely changed over the years. I mean, we will go to Park A, go on a ride, go for a couple laps around the park, go on another ride, go for another lap around the park, go have something to eat, rather than
Mhm.
ride, which is what we used to do when we were only there once every couple of years or whatever.
And speaking of ride, let's talk about the future of this park. We got two new
Nice
lands
segue.
coming up. Yeah, we
There
got
is
two new
only
lands. We got five. What is it? It's five new rides, isn't it? It's three in Toy Story Land and then two in.
technically it's only two in Toy Story Land
Oh,
Yeah,
it's only
Right.
two in Toy Story Land.
there is
because
Okay.
Mania's
in
already been
addition.
there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Can we first
That's what I'm
talk
thinking.
about like retheming Rock and Roller Coaster in the future to something different?
To
What do you think?
AARP presents Rock and Roller Coaster.
That's what it is now, it feels like.
As a card holding member, I feel I can make that joke without fear of retribution.
So what? I mean, what would be we retheme that too, though? I mean, what's the thought here? We're gonna throw Guardians in that too? I mean,
I don't know that we're gonna have two indoor Guardians coasters, but I could see another Marvel property. Or I
I think
could go ahead, Alison.
I think they're going to keep Marvel out of studios and it just be.
I hope so.
I know that I've heard things where it's, Star Wars and Marvel are separate and they should not occur in the same park if at all possible.
I think
Maybe
it's that
they'll
they just want to maximize their
Mhm.
profit and they want people to spread it
Sure.
out.
No, I
Yeah.
think that's why. You're absolutely right.
maybe it'll become Anakin Skywalker's pod racers or something.
Well, to be fair, Disney did just get 20th Century Fox. There's a
True.
lot of properties there, and
That's
if we can't
true.
have Star Wars in the same park as Marvel stuff, who says we couldn't put some 20th Century stuff in here?
You know
Like
what would be
maybe.
cool is something that would fit sort of thematically with Hollywood Tower Hotel, where you can make that whole side of Sunset feel more cohesive than it does right now. Because right now there is no cohesion between everything that's plopped over there at the end. And I think something, with a sort of slightly spooky, a little bit adventure-y kind of feel themed into the Rock and Roller Coaster existing coaster would be really neat.
Well, maybe something Indiana Jones then.
Yeah.
Ooh. Especially if they do get rid of the stunt show, which I do not want to see. I love that show. I never want to see it leave studios, but I have a feeling that is not
No,
what's going to
don't.
happen.
Knock on wood
Right.
that they never leave.
I don't think it's long for this world, that show, but also they now that great movie ride is gone, that
Mhm.
major scene is also gone, and it fits so well in this park.
Yes, definitely. And they don't have it represented anywhere else in all of Walt Disney World. At
What
least
if
not
what if we
currently.
just put Great Movie Ride there? Like we just took it and moved
Just move it.
right there.
Except that it would only take 2 minutes now instead of 20.
Yeah, it's
It'd be really
definitely, I
impressive
think,
when you switch
a-
guides.
a
Like,
totally
wow,
different
that would be really cool. But I guess kind of to wrap this up though, with Toy Story and Star Wars that we do know is coming to the park, do we think this is gonna, I mean, for lack of a better term, save the park?
Yes. No question. Star Wars Land, Toy Story Land is not going to matter. It's going to bump up attendance, but in the
Yeah.
grand scheme of things,
It's going
nothing
to be
matters
Star
but Star
Wars.
Wars.
Yeah. That's going to be the
I-
saving grace.
It's going to save the park, but it's also going to ruin it in so many ways because I'm so terrified of the crowds and so
True.
terrified of the massive change. But
I will say,
it's better
though,
than the nothing that's there now.
I'm really looking for, I feel like this is going to be, for as much as we've talked about Toy Story Land being a letdown compared to Pandora, I feel like this is going to be a level above Pandora from everything we've heard, from the different patents we're seeing, the construction, the stories that are coming out. I think this is going to be the next level of what Disney is capable of in theme parks, and I want to see that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it too. Between that and the hotel, like, oh my gosh, that's gonna be great.
So here's hoping for no monorail cost overruns that suck some of the budget out of it.
Yeah, good luck
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, thanks, Shanghai. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this week's ParksCenter. Thank you all for joining us. Big thank you to our WIG supporters out there who get to watch this show recorded live every week at this time. If you want to join that, it's patreon.com/WDWNT. Coming up this week, we already mentioned that we've got the gosh, I'm blanking on Hollywood Studios Appreciation Day coming up on the 5th. So that's going to be a grand time. I believe you can check out who all from the call is going to be at that. Just real quick head count.
I'm
I'll be
going.
there.
So that's
Whitney.
Allison, Rich, and Whitney. You'll be able to check them out down there.
Hey, careful.
Have fun,
Oh.
guys. I'm jealous.
On the 7th at 11 p.m., we've got a rescheduled See You Real Late with Tom Corliss for our WIGS members. And at 7 a.m., we've also got Ride Rehab getting released, so check your feeds for that, our latest podcast. We'll be back next week, same time, 9 p.m. live. See you Thursday if you're watching us on YouTube. But as for tonight, kicking it off to Around the Hub coming up right now. Have a good night, folks, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.